Welcome to the NFL Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com. Nate and Josh here with one more NFL episode for you guys for this season. Going to be taking a look at some more of these fun bets that we have, a lot of props that we've got looks for you here for the Super Bowl coming up this Sunday. So still make sure to subscribe to that channel. If you are interested in NBA action moving forward, we're there each and every weekday with our best bets, looks on the sides and totals, and the player props. So hope to see you guys in there for the NBA action. But let's close it out with the Pats and the Seahawks, get some game props going, Nate, and kick it off with a TD yards bet.
Yeah, I mean, there's the prop for total touchdowns, 5.5, 4.5, depending on the value you get there, might be a better bet here. But I just think like not very many explosive touchdowns is a good way to bet it. I mean, we're already expecting not that many points for the number 1 and number 2 scoring defenses. Granted, these offenses are first and fourth in explosive play rate on the season, but the defenses are first and fourth, they're top 5 allowing. They're tied second in overall explosive play rate allowed. And Seattle is number 2 in red zone rush defense efficiency. The Patriots, we know, are much, much better against the run now that they have their guys back. In the middle of the season, they were struggling a little bit there, struggling in the red zone, but that's really tightened up in the playoffs, of course. And their offense has not been efficient. The Patriots, 33% red zone conversion rate in the playoffs, not getting in there. So, I mean, they're going to depend on these deep shots, these long bombs from Drake May. And I don't know how often they're going to be there. I mean, maybe he's able to connect for one for 50 yards. And if that's your concern, then I think you go with under on the total number of touchdowns. But I hate to be, throw cold water all over this. It's the Super Bowl. We want to see a lot of fireworks, right? But I don't see offenses having many advantages here in this particular matchup. So I would fade some of these touchdown bets.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I mean, and just to be super clear for everybody, we're saying on plays that end in touchdowns, the total yards will be under 72. They're just going to be a lot shorter touchdowns. It's another way to sort of play total touchdowns in a way, if you think about it, but it might be a little bit safer, even if there are a handful of those TDs, that those come a little bit closer to the goal line like you're talking about. So let's go for a non-QB Super Bowl MVP. You can also sort of play this bet by taking the field over Sam Darnold. So if it's not Sam Darnold and anybody else wins, you get minus 155. It's 2-1 there for just any non-QB to win it. Obviously, Drake May would also be a QB. He can't win it either for that first bet to hit. But I do think that this is sort of a way to bet if you think Seattle wins and they cover in that sense, right? Because it would be Darnold who would probably be getting a bunch of help in a way that might make you think he's not going to necessarily be the one that like gets the full amount of credit for doing it, especially if he's throwing like most of his balls to JSN like normal, and then you see JSN with like a $120, $125 or something. Like he might be the guy that if he's the only one getting the yards, could be a good look that he would be one of those guys to get it over Darnold. But I'm just not sure if we really still have that full trust in him that he's going to be the best when it's the biggest possible game at this point. Still very turnover prone, and that could eat into any sort of positive stuff that he does. Is if he's also the reason that they're sort of behind the 8 ball at times throughout the game, then that's going to be an issue for getting his votes for that. And the D for the Seahawks is also, there's guys that you feel really likely could come in and step up enough to sort of steal that spotlight if they shut down this Pats offense enough. And this is such a defensive-minded affair like you're talking about. Then you're talking about a defense that could easily get some sacks on Drake May. He's taken 15 sacks, 6 fumbles, and 2 INTs with all the pressure that he's been taking in these playoffs. Really, really bad numbers. I mean, he's had at least gotten sacked at least 5 times in each of these games that he's played. So once you're talking about that as the sort of like focal point of the game plan for Seattle is like force some turnovers, get us a short field, figure out if you can get some defensive points, right? Like even a defensive touchdown could just mean that guy gets the Super Bowl MVP at that point.
Yeah, and you wonder if the voters are a little fatigued with just picking a quarterback every year. Like if he doesn't like totally knock your socks off, it's like maybe it's time. Like I think Von Miller 2018 was the last defensive player. Cooper Kupp as a wide receiver was the last non-QB. JSN being a popular pick here at plus 600, and you'd say, well, Darnold's got to get JSN the ball. But like if we see one of these typical, like JSN goes for 120 of Darnold's 200 yards, like we've seen all season, I feel like you got to think that the wide receiver is a little more deserving there. And maybe that's just a way to play DFS showdown contests too. When you think about it, it's like JSN as your captain multiplier there. But while I didn't want to just take all unders here and be no fun. So let me give the Patriots as actually the longest touchdown to go down here. If you don't want to take that under on the yardage touchdowns. And I just think that they don't have much choice because I don't think the red zone offense is efficient enough, but they have been extremely explosive all year. Seattle, very, very good. Number one, limiting explosive runs, but the eighth highest explosive play rate on downfield passes. And that's what Drake May hunts. He's going to throw it down there. He's going to try to get through the tight windows, go looking for booty. And I mean, the Seahawks coming off an NFC chip game where they gave up a season high 15 explosive pass plays or total plays to the Rams. I think the Patriots see some of that stuff on tape. They'll try to get some of their speedsters isolated on these big bodied corners. I mean, they have a lot of depth in terms of the explosive players. Like the Seahawks have JSN and Shaheed, basically. I mean, if you think Kenneth Walker can break a big one against his Pats defense, good luck to you. I mean, their run defense is extremely disciplined. But my point is the Patriots coaching staff is going to be ready for those two speedsters, know where they are at all times, try to get help over the top. Whereas the Patriots, their strike could come from anywhere. They have 6 guys with 10 plus explosive receptions on the year because Drake will throw it down there. And a lot of them are small, fast. Kyle Williams, Demario Douglas of the world, just so quick for the Seahawks to deal with. And then, of course, they do have home run hitters out of the backfield. It is possible. Travion Henderson gets like 3 carries, but suddenly breaks one. I mean, he broke a ton this season. So I just think, the big play could be there for the Patriots, and the Seahawks are not going to have to depend on it as much.
Yeah, that adds up to me as well. I mean, the Seahawks would have to really just score on like one like Darnold bomb, but if you're talking about that being a bit more of the focal point too of the Patriots limiting that type of stuff, then that would all add up. But let's go to the Seahawks and talk about rushes. If we get the over 4.5 players to get a rush attempt for them, we're looking at a bit of plus money there as well. I think you look at the guys that we're talking about potentially getting them. We've got at least a 2 running back rotation there with Walker and Holani coming in. Also, keep an eye on Cam Akers, who has been on the practice squad, could be active. He did play a snap in the NFC Championship game there after he did get signed. So, I mean, if you brought him along, there's the likelihood that you get one right there. Even if you don't get him, let's say we get Darnold right there to get a scramble or potentially even take a knee at the end of the game if they are winning. And then we've had consistent, runs from end arounds from wide receivers, especially Rashid Shaheed, who kind of burned us by getting the rushing yards one game as opposed to the receiving. But I still think that's a play that you look at in the Super Bowl. Like you empty the playbook. That's a part of the idea here of taking this type of play in the Super Bowl. You've even seen JSN get carries before, so that would be another sort of option if you wanted one more guy to get one. And then we've got the tush push where we bring AJ Barner in and we just let the big tight end run and get the carry for a tush push to get some guys behind him, moving him into the end zone. There's a 5-6 guys that you can feel comfortable about, getting a look here for them on the ground, making that plus money bet feel pretty good.
Yeah, I could see JSN being the one to bring it home for you here as he moves all around the formation, in and out of the backfield. Maybe it's even a backwards pass that doesn't look like a rush at first, but you're like, oh, you actually that technically goes down as a rush, and it's a rush for JSN. So it was a popular bet for sure. It got hit early, but it's still plus money at some books. And yes, we're going under again in terms of total rush yards for this game. 215.5 seems high. I mean, I'm willing to fade Kenny Walker. I'm willing to fade Ramondre in these particular matchups. And who else are you worried about running? I mean, Drake May broke a bunch of long ones against Denver. I just think the Seattle defense is going to be a lot more disciplined than Denver, which really burned themselves by just being like, we're so good at edge rushing. Like, here we go. Nick Benito, Cooper around the edge, and May's out the front door. And you can bet the Seahawks and Mike McDonald are looking at that being like, okay, no, it's cage rush time. They're much more disciplined. They also rush without blitzing. So they just kind of, wall in the quarterback. And then obviously they're the number one run defense in the league, limiting explosives by EPA any way you want it. Ramondre is probably going to be getting like 3-4 yards in a cloud of dust. We talked about how we like him to not go over on his longest rush. And it's a bad matchup for Walker against a team that doesn't load the box, because if you watch Kenny Walker play, he likes to invite the defense inside so he can bounce it outside the tackle. But he's been really bad against the light box because the defense is already ready for him to go outside. And then he has to just try to like knife his way through the middle. Patriots have been so good up the middle. So I just don't see a lot of explosive run plays happening at all. And really, this is probably my favorite game prop overall, just because of the multiple outs and the likelihood that I think both teams will be passing. There is another way to play this, by the way, where you just say both total pass attempts is 60 plus for the game. And that way you're not worrying about the rush. It's more betting against rush success in the sense that teams are going to be passing.
That makes sense. I mean, it's a lot of rush yards, and you have seen the way that these teams move the ball a bit more effectively. Definitely go through the air, despite the amount of rushes that Seattle tries to put out there. So let me close it out with sacks. Let's talk about over 4.5. If you can only find 5.5, but you're getting plus money, maybe closer to plus 120 or so, I still think that you consider that. When, as I mentioned a little while ago, Drake May has taken 5 sacks in all 3 playoff games. And Seattle's defense, as we know, elite, pretty much one of the main reasons, if not the main reason that they're here right now. They don't necessarily blitz a ton, but they still get the 4th highest pressure rate despite the 4th lowest blitz rate. So I think that continues here when you're talking about some rookie tackles, rookie guard, as well as Jared Wilson there for the Pats. So I think that they're sort of the way that they mix up their cloud zone coverages, that kind of leads Drake May to hold the ball and get a little bit more confused. That leads to a couple more sacks when you bring the pressure that they have from the edge. But Darnold, also a guy that you don't necessarily trust not to take sacks, took 9 in his alone in his playoff debut last year when he was playing with the Vikings. But he's also taken that sacks in 2 out of 3 in the playoffs this year. So might just need 1, really, the way that this Seattle defense could have some success getting to Drake May. Might only need 1 from Sam Darnold there. But I do think there's a bit of like a don't throw picks going on, right? And if you feel that pressure and you need to cover the ball, then you cover the ball, because we can't afford to lose it when these defenses are expected to sort of do the bulk of the heavy lifting for each side. You do not want to give up those short fields.
Yeah, that's what we saw from the Patriots down the stretch in Denver. Really was just like, be ultra conservative. Like, we trust our defense. This is a Vrabel coach team, right? Just don't make a mistake. We're going to punt it away. I mean, you can bet over on the punts in that sense, that which will come after the sacks here. But if we're talking 60 plus pass attempts, we're talking even more dropbacks. We're talking more opportunities for the guys to get in there and make a play as far as the defensive line. I mean, I don't think it's Darnold. I think he'll do his part. Darnold will. I think the Patriots are going to flush him out a lot, see if he has the mobility to get away from that interior rush, because the Seattle interior offensive line is not good. And then, will he actually be able to pick up yards with his legs, or will he just get caught and go down? And I think he's good for 2 or 3 sacks, and then May as well.
Yeah, no, I think that adds up, but it is going to be fun. I mean, I don't want everyone to think that we don't think it's going to be an enjoyable Super Bowl, but the defenses are here to play for a reason. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of wackiness too. And we do know that these coaches are capable of pulling some fun plays on offense out of their pockets as well. But that is all the time we have for you. So enjoy the Super Bowl here. Had a really great NFL season with everybody. Appreciate everybody following along. We will be back next year. And as mentioned, have the NBA show up on the channel each and every weekday. So make sure you're checking that out. Until we see you next, happy betting.